Hello everyone and welcome to Idea Academy. This video is going to be an introduction to all those that are not familiar with Idea yet or want to get to know it better. My name is Vitaly Fedorov and I am a sales manager here at Idea Data Solutions. Today, I'm going to give you some insights about why a plant management software is important nowadays and whom it is addressed. Thereafter, I will introduce you to IdeaYAT software and its main functions. We believe that a plant management software is not only addressed to the direct users of the software, but it may benefit the shipyard and the management companies as well. For instance, through the history reports, it is possible to decide whether to use for future projects a component that has resulted to be defective or look for another manufacturer for that specific component. Warranty claims can sometimes result not easy to handle nor to request. Through a simple report, it is possible to define whether a component has been correctly serviced and maintained and decide accordingly. Management companies have the possibility to keep an eye on their managed vessels, either by requesting reports or by downloading them on their own through our fleet management software, which regularly synchronizes with IdeaYAT that has been installed on the vessel. Let me now give you some background information about Idea Data Solutions. The company has been founded in 2001 in Düsseldorf and has been developing since then. During this time frame, we have made over 1,000 installations and populated over 400 databases. IdeaYAT has been, and it is by this day, continuously developed and in close collaboration with chief engineers and other professionals. We are always working hard and striving to improve by meticulously gathering feedback from our customers and collaborators. A good software is just half the job done. It is extremely important to have a well-structured and populated database and maintenance plan. You can have the best software in the world, but if you have poor information, the software is going to be just average. By the way, we have a separate session on how to set up your own database and maintenance plan. Okay, let's now move to the software itself. On the top you find the name of the vessel. Here below you find the user that is going to log in. Depending on the user that is going to log in, it is going to have certain permissions to read, modify and delete data. So for example, the captain is going to have different permissions compared to the chief engineer, right? Here below you find the password and under here the read license information is going in here. Here on top you find the licenses, which basically reflect the amount of users that can log in into the system at the same time. Then we have the modules on the left that are active, the temporary modules, which are the trial period modules, which normally last 1 month. And here below you will find the users that are currently logged into the system. Let's now go back and let's log in into the system. We are now in our homepage, which is the dashboard. Here you can personalize the homepage, the dashboard as you like. For instance, you can have the reminders of the overdue tasks, let's say, or you can have, for instance, the expired documentation and so on. So you can customize it as you like. Let's now jump into the core of the software, the database. Here on the left we find the vessel database and then we open it. Alright, inside the vessel database you will find a list of generic categories related to the responsible department. Let's go into one. Let's say the main machinery and then into the main engines. Each category contains the related components, inventory and attachments, so the documents and pictures. The components, let's say the components, but the inventory as well, can be uploaded or imported through our template. Here on the left you see import components, items or tasks. Let's go into import components. Here below you find our template, which should be filled in and uploaded into the system, or otherwise you can create new tasks or import items one by one into the system through the database. Let's go back to the components and then let's jump into the monitoring and control system. Here we find a description of the component, its cover picture, the location, the manufacturer, supplier, the periodic and the one-time tasks, its history, the maintenance history, and its attachments. Jump into the periodic tasks. You would normally already have a periodic task for a component because this is done during the initial setup. The one-time tasks are usually created for example, when a component breaks, right, and we want to fix it, then we create a one-time task. In this case, we are going to create a periodic task, right? Then we can create a new name for the task. Let's say monitoring system. Monitoring system maintenance. Alright, then we can select the responsible person or user or role. Let's say in this case we would select the chief engineer. The notification group is going to be superintendent. Maintenance cost, we can say it costs $50. We have three types of time-based intervals, right? It can be time-based, let's say once a week. It can be every 100 hours, 300 hours, whatever it is, or an event-based, let's say after selling, or after, let's say at grounding, or I don't know, dry docking and so on. And then here below we can write the job description, so what has to be done. As an alternative to this, the monitoring system of the vessel can be connected to IDEA to avoid doing all this thing manually. Let's go into spares. Inside here we would link the spare which is going to be used for this job, for this task. Let's say we need a bearing from Johnson. We need, let's say, 2, doesn't matter. And then we can link a document from a database, or we can upload a new document which might be useful for performing the task. Then we save it. Right. We said, okay, the next due is on the 4th of November, right? Well, this will either pop up on our reminders. So we selected the chief engineer as the addressee of this task, so he would get the reminder when the task is due. I can now go into the maintenance, and here you would see all the maintenance tasks that need to be performed in general. So these are all the tasks that have to be performed, right? So we can then filter per let's say the responsible person, department, event, the time frame, let's say within the next month. There is nothing within the next 2 months. Okay, we can now see our task that we just created. Let's say we want to perform the task. All right, we should click on that. Here are the information that we previously put in. right? As you can see, the related documents, let's say the manual for performing the task, the history of the maintenance, and the related spares. Here you can see that we're going to need 2 bearings, right? If you want to perform the task, we click on perform. Here you have the history name, if you have any comments, who performed the task, the date when we did it, how much did it cost, and so on. The spares that we used, and any type of documentation related to this maintenance. Then we apply. Now we can go back into our database. Main machinery, main engines, components, monitoring and control system, and in the history we can see that we performed the task today, right? Or otherwise we can print a report about, we have different type of reports in here, the crew and guest report or the drills report and so on. You have different types of reports. What's interesting for us in this case is the maintenance report, right? And then we have all type of filtering in here as well. You can filter by department or for equipment type, or depending on the task, if it's periodic and so on. Let's say we can filter. Okay, we're gonna print all the tasks. Okay, here we can see on the bottom the task that we just performed. So monitoring and control system, when it has been performed, its interval, and the next due date, right? Now we can go back and well, that's it for the vessel database. Okay, let's now have a quick look at what the other modules are about. By the way, ID Academy is going to offer a dedicated session for the following modules: crew and guest, live and rest, stock control, ISM, and the log and rounds module. Let's now jump directly into the document manager module, which basically allows you to view documents with additional information such as expiry date, the revisions, and you have all sort of filtering up here. You can, let's say, filter for the due date, let's say within the documents that are going to be due within next week, or group filtering, or for document type, and so on. Moving to the crew and guest database, here you can you can manage users, add, modify, delete users. Here you can see you can add an additional user. Let's go to check how a user looks like. Here you have all the personal information regarding this particular user. You can print reports, manage crew certificates, check in or check out users if you have the crew ID card extension, right? Moving on to the live and rest module. Okay, here you would have the ability to manage the working hours, the working templates, and the contracts. In the stock control module, you can manage inventory. In here you have all type of filtering as usual. You can, let's say, you're going for a trip, you need to forecast what type of inventory you're going to need within the next 3 months. So you enable the filtering here, enable the forecast until the 31st of December. Then you apply the filter, and then you see all the inventory that you're going to need. You have different type of filtering, you can play with it as you want. Moving on, you can create and send out the purchase orders. You can manage budgets, you can check items in, check items out. If you have the barcode module, you can move items around from one storage to another, manage the active inventory, and so on. Moving on to the ISM module, where you can provide safety status record as well as manage safety drills. Here on the left, as you can see, trainings, store all the related safety documentation, and so on. In the logs and round modules, you can perform rounds, right, based on the entry logs, entry points that we previously created. You can have your logs paperless, and you can manage the history of the performed rounds. Here, round history. Right. Let's move the last but not least module, which is accounting, which basically gives you the possibility to check all the actions which generate monetary inputs or outputs. Here you can, let's say, add a new record. You can search for previous records depending on your needs, and you have different type of filtering here as well. You can export it to XML, and that's basically it for today. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.